Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, city volunteers in Taoyuan are tending to victims of a fire in Zhongli and also holding a blessing ceremony for the community. Singapore city volunteer Gao Longfa is leaving his high-paid job as a butcher to stop creating bad karma. And in our feature report on Taiwan's fading trades, we meet Ding Han Li, a harbor pilot in Kaohsiung with over 25 years of experience. First up in Taiwan, in early August, a member of family of 7 in Taoyuan's Zhongli suffered an explosive fire, leaving 5 people dead with the other 2 severely injured and hospitalized. In the aftermath of the blaze, city volunteers immediately mobilized to care for the disaster victims and bereaved family members, and also visited their neighbors to bring emotional comfort. Last week, volunteers returned to hold a blessing ceremony to settle the hearts of the community's residents and lend their support in facing this devastating event.
In Taiwan, this is the 3rd time city volunteers have visited Zhongli City's Ziqiang neighborhood. Everyone is busy decorating for a blessing ceremony, while some volunteers are knocking on doors inviting community residents to join in. Ziqiang neighborhood really needs a sense of peace, as 3 weeks ago, one household of 7 suffered an explosion, where 5 passed away and 2 are hospitalized. The trauma of the event left many residents afraid to leave their homes at night.
When I see neighbors with their doors closed, I shut mine too. It's very scary.
We'll remember what happened that day, and the old people will not want to come out at night.
A loving heart can counteract 1,000 disasters.
Everyone speaks out their worries, and volunteers use the Buddha's wisdom to bring peace. Melting away worries, the community is brought closer together.
The uneasiness of our hearts was not set until Tzu Chi brothers and sisters came to support us with their love.
At the Zhongli blessing ceremony, Tzu Chi volunteers brought support and blessings to a community that needed healing.
Everyone is happy. It feels great to join in today's activities.
Next, 12 city volunteers from the United States flew to Honduras to prepare for the 2012 Central America City Volunteers Training Workshop, which will be held in the municipality of Marcovia on the 1st and 2nd of September. This is the first training workshop held in Central America and was joined by over 100 local volunteers from Honduras and El Salvador.
7 months after the flood relief distribution in 2011, Honduras Tzu Chi volunteer Zhang Hongcai once again goes to the airport to pick up the volunteers from the U.S. This time, they are going to hold the first ever Tzu Chi volunteer training workshop in Central America. Upon arrival, volunteers are driven to Choluteca, which was seriously flooded in 2011. Tzu Chi volunteers once conducted 3 large-scale relief distributions in the city of Morcavia. During a 4-hour trip from Tegucigalpa to Choluteca, suddenly it starts to pour.
When a thunderstorm struck, Brother Hongcai received a call saying the city of Morcavia was going to flood. I had been planning to mobilize aid supplies as soon as possible. Now it's almost 10 p.m. It seems the floods have receded, leaving the city untouched.
After arriving at Choluteca, the U.S. volunteers are joined by volunteers from El Salvador. Together, they start to discuss how to organize the 2-day workshop.
The training workshop will be joined by 104 local volunteers from El Salvador and Honduras, as well as 4 Chinese volunteers. They will be trained as Tzu Chi volunteers through the various sessions.
The night before the training workshop, volunteers continue their efforts to ensure a successful event.
Moving to Asia, throughout the 7th lunar month, the Indonesia Tzu Chi chapter has been promoting the bright belief of Buddhism through a series of public events. Over 100 Tzu Chi volunteers performed the Sutra of Profound Gratitude towards parents in a local community of Jakarta. While in Batam, local Tzu Chi volunteers used short plays to encourage people to eat vegetarian meals, to avoid superstitious notions, and to refrain from burning joss paper.
120 Indonesian Tzu Chi volunteers are performing the Sutra of Profound Gratitude towards parents to promote the idea of the auspiciousness of the 7th lunar month. The performance is to encourage people to do good deeds and show filial piety. The event was attended by over 600 people from different ethnicity and faiths, all who support Tzu Chi's philosophy.
We are thankful for the opportunity to participate in an event promoting filial piety, which benefits us a lot.
Through the performance of the Sutra, Tzu Chi volunteers try to pass on the message that the 7th lunar month is also filial piety month.
The 7th lunar month is an auspicious month, but the public think it's a bad month. The performance can teach people to do good deeds and be filial.
In Batam Liaison Office, Tzu Chi volunteers use a show skit to explain the origin of burning joss paper. The show skit also promotes the benefits of vegetarianism and refrain from killing animals as offerings.
I'll start to eat vegetarian meals and encourage my family to do the same.
The young people know the crisis facing our environment, yet they don't dare to go against the traditions their parents taught them.
It is not easy to break traditions, but in time, superstitions can always be turned into right beliefs.
As a kitchen worker in a hotel, Singapore Tzu Chi volunteer Gao Longfa's duties included slaughtering various animals. Last year, after becoming acquainted with Tzu Chi, he realized that he would pay a terrible karmic price for taking lives, so he resigned from his high-paying job. Changing careers in midlife is never easy, but Gao is determined to stick to his beliefs. Now his heart is at peace and his life is more fulfilling.
As a youth, Gao Rongfa never liked going to school. His first job was in the kitchen of a restaurant where he slaughtered and butchered a variety of livestock, fish, and fowl.
If one cut didn't kill the animal, then I made a second cut. I remember once a crab caught my finger in its pincers, and it really hurt. At the time, I didn't think anything of it, just smacked the crab hard against the wall a couple of times, and it was all over.
A professional butcher earns a good living. Over the course of 20 years, Gao Rongfa slaughtered animals on a daily basis. His bad temper grew worse and worse over time. Last year, after changing jobs, Gao happened to meet Tzu Chi volunteer Xiong Fuxiang.
这边是纸张啦，就是白色的，就是要分要白色的。
起初我对环保很陌生。
Originally, I had no knowledge of environmental protection. I didn't realize that many of the things we throw away could be used to help others. I had a good feeling after volunteering and vowed to myself to come here once a month.
After watching Tzu Chi's environmental protection film, The Scream of Life, he was shocked at the sight of blood pouring off the carcass of slaughtered animals. At that moment, Gao Rongfa realized his hands were also covered with gore.
Every day as I was cutting up meat, I would recite the phrase Ami Tuofo Buddha. One day I realized that it's time to lay down the butcher knife. That's when I resigned.
Gao Rongfa has kept his vow, and the good life that Tzu Chi has given him is something that money can buy.
After I volunteered for several home visits, I realized that there are people whose lives are harder and more difficult than mine. yet they are determined to continue living.
很多改变，就是会说。
He's changed. Now he laughs, jokes with people, and has good things to say to them.
Coming to Tzu Chi was the greatest turning point of my life. I will continue to walk the path of the Bodhisattva and lend a helping hand to those who are in need.
Back to Taiwan's Taoyuan, recycling volunteer Zhang Jingfu has been an alcoholic since young. The large amount of alcohol consumption has not only put his health at risk, but has costed him his career. Luckily, he tuned into DaAi TV one day and was inspired to join recycling work. Since then, Zhang Jingfu has stopped drinking and has been sorting recyclables at the local recycling station, rain or shine. Through devoting himself in safeguarding the planet, Zhang has become healthier and also found a new purpose in life.
As a typhoon had just passed, the weather is still unstable. Despite the weather, recycling volunteer Zhang Jingfu still puts on his raincoat and goes to the recycling station.
I do recycling, rain or shine.
Zhang Jingfu was once an alcoholic. Year after year of drinking, his body started to deteriorate, his limbs started to shake, his left hand became weak, and he began to suffer from arthritis.
My knee hurts when I squat down.
Last year, when he first came to the recycling station, he walked with a wobble. Now he walks more steadily because he quits drinking and takes recycling as rehab.
Honestly, medication doesn't work. It only brings side effects.
Zhang was unemployed for years, yet after watching DaAi TV, he was inspired to change, and that started with going to the recycling station to help out.
You cannot wait until you are going to die to help others, because it will be too late.
Now, Zhang Jingfu realizes that sorting recyclables not only benefits others, but also himself.
In Xiamen of China's Fujian province, local Tzu Chi volunteers regularly visit care recipients to bring warmth and love to those in need. This time they visited a little boy and a cancer patient. 13-year-old Xu Lingcang suffered a head injury which left his hand left slightly paralyzed. Volunteers are paying him monthly visits to help him with rehab. And as for Mrs. Ye, a cancer patient, she was moved by the volunteers' devotion and decided to join Tzu Chi to help people like herself.
Expecting the arrival of Tzu Chi volunteers, care recipient Xu Lingchang is waiting in front of his house. He greets his guests warmly and chats with them like old friends. Xu Lingchang is a 13-year-old boy who has difficulty moving his left hand following a head injury. As he has also mental retardation, every month Tzu Chi volunteers visit to help Lingchang with his rehab.
Mommy is tired after a busy day. Please sit down, let me give you a massage. Mommy will be so happy. Lingchang is Mommy's good boy.
Mrs. Shi is deeply moved by Lingchang's thoughtfulness, especially when she hears her son saying, "I love you." Most of the Tzu Chi care recipients in Xiamen live in remote areas, yet volunteers pay monthly visits regardless of the distance. This kind gesture touches a cancer patient, Mrs. Ye, so she wants to reciprocate Tzu Chi's help.
Many people give me love, so I want to give back. Everyone gives me blessings. Thank you all.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Xiamen have built a family-like relationship with care recipients through monthly house calls in hopes of accompanying them towards a promising future.
Presently in Taiwan's Hualien and Kaohsiung, there are media centers for DaAi TV, but Taidong, which is 3 hours away by car from either Hualien or Kaohsiung, relies heavily on Tzu Chi media volunteers to report the news. One media volunteer, Lin Suyue, does it all, from reporting to photography to video recording. She really is a one-woman show.
Lin Suyue conducts the interview with sincerity and professionalism. Already a Tzu Chi volunteer, Lin switched to working as a Tzu Chi media volunteer when she returned to Taidong 10 years ago.
You can see how compassionate these people are, and I thought, why wasn't there someone available to document their life stories? So I took it up on myself to take some pictures and write something about them to preserve these stories.
Starting with photojournalism, Lin Suyue documented up to 70 articles a year. But as the Taidong area lacks video footage, she started to learn how to use a video camera to capture her images.
It's really a life calling. I want to record Taidong's life stories for the world to see, like the disasters we have faced, to inspire everyone to protect the planet.
When Typhoon Tianbin devastated the Taidong area, Lin Suyue, with her camera, accompanied other volunteers to document the disaster survey and care.
Actually, transportation and communication here on the east side of the island is not as advanced as elsewhere. So when there are disasters, if Hualien or Kaohsiung DaAi TV reporters want to come film the events, it's too inconvenient.
Article writing, photography, and filming, Lin Suyue can do it all. She will continue to report from Taidong's Houshan to preserve Tzu Chi's history for posterity.
According to international regulations, when a ship enters any harbor around the globe, apart from informing the country of its arrival, the vessel also needs to ask the local harbor pilots to guide them into the port. The pilots need to be familiar with the harbor's terrain and have good knowledge of the size of each vessel to correctly lead them into the harbor. To become one of these harbor pilots is no easy task, as one is required to have the skills of a captain, and regardless of the weather conditions, must be on a 24-hour standby to guide all vessels coming in and out of the port. In our continuing series on the island's fading trades, we meet Ding Han Li, an expert in his trade who has over 25 years of experience. Here's more. Sailing towards the horizon, as soon as the boat cruises towards the ocean and out of Kaohsiung's harbor, one feels the strong wind and waves. To experience the life of a pilot, one must first overcome seasickness, but the real challenge is still ahead. As the boat continuously rocks towards the ship, it isn't easy to stand straight, and from the boat to the 90,000-ton merchant ship, the water level is some 3 meters high. To climb up the ladder requires not only strength but courage. Nevertheless, not every ship is as easy to board. 5 hours earlier, Ding Han Li had to climb a 3-story high ladder to board another ship.
Wow, this is too dangerous. The stairs are too early. Don't come up here, it will be too slippery.
里面去好了，太滑。
The rope ladder hanging down straight and lying closely against the vessel is a tool used by harbor pilots to board ships. Come rain or shine, it is also the only way for these navigators to board any vessels.
要拍这个惊险场面。
If you want to film something more breathtaking, you should come 2 days after the typhoon. Our boat will be flowing up and down 3 floors high with the waves. The big ship is dancing and so is our boat. The moment you grab the ladder, you are like a trapeze in a circus.
水准动作。
Though Dean describes his experience with ease, the moment he starts to board the ship, it becomes a matter of life and death. Yet to this pilot, it is only considered a minor part of their professional career.
左船尾在高转那里掉走，要拖船拉，拖的那个绳子要拉上来。你看它那个尾巴已经在拼命了，快速在顶。
Through the intercom, Ding Han-li leads the captain and port workers in navigating the ship, which can only move forward and backward into the harbor, before parking at the assigned space, just like a car parking on the street.
We have to back into park, turn the ship around. As we turn this way, we lead the ship in this direction and back in towards the course. The length through the harbor is only some 14 meters deep, and this ship has a hull depth of some 13.8 meters, so there's only 20 or 30 centimeters left. We are almost sliding through. When we reach here, we need to carefully calculate the wind pressure, because the slower we are going, the more influence the wind has on the ship. If we don't watch out, the ship might hit other vessels. When the ship is finally here, we just pull it in like this. My family is what motivates me to work in this industry. Let me tell you, everyone works in the ocean. For all pilots around the globe, the first day they get on the ship, they will have this dream every day, a dream of going home to their family. Nothing else matters, just their family.
To be able to safely return home means going back to their loved ones and away from loneliness. It is also what motivated Ding to study through his 15 years of voyage, to pass the exam to become a harbor pilot, so that he can spend more time with his family.
I thought that I really want to come home, or else my wife is there all by herself, so I studied really hard for the exams. My only goal was to come back home.
Braving the storms and never afraid of climbing ladders in the dark, all harbor's pilots are courageous yet cautious. Knowing the hardship of his career, Ding Han-li did not expect his son to take on the family baton. Instead, the kind-hearted man spends time in taking part in international conferences to fight for the benefits of all sailors. In the eyes of his co-workers, Ding Han-li is like a lighthouse in the dark. At the end of our program today, to welcome the first-year students at Tzu University in Hualien, Taiwan, Tzu fathers and Yi mothers from around the island held a welcoming ceremony on the morning of Tuesday, September 4th. The volunteers put on all sorts of performances to spread happiness and love and to bring their relationships with the students closer together. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.